Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Throne of Steel episode number 200 based on novel. So let's start. In order to buy more time, Long Hao-chen did not refute the words of the God of Devils. Instead, he asked curiously, "Is there any chance between you and me?" The God of Devils smiled and said, "Of course there is. Maybe you don't know, but when I saw you for the first time, my intuition told me that one day you would grow up to make me look at you with respect. And that time, if I remembered correctly, it was at Chumoguan. At that time, you were as weak as an ant. However, I can feel your talent and physique. If I wanted to kill you, it would only take a little effort. Do you think that those people can really stop me?" The words of the God of Devils touched Long Hao-chen so much that he noticed about himself back at the time of the Chumoguan. He couldn't help being surprised. It was really the first time he met the God of Devils. At that time, he was just a preparatory hunter, being tested by Chumoguan, and he saw the God of Devils shown up for the first time. However, it never occurred to him that the God of Devils at that time was able to notice such a weak hunter. Exactly like the God of Devils said, the first time that the two met was at Chumoguan. Long Hao-chen believed his words. Indeed, if the God of Devils wanted to kill him, it couldn't have been easier. Of course, the reason why I didn't kill you is not due to my inner compassion. It is because I want to train you so that you can really grow up. And the ultimate goal is to make you one of the heirs to my throne. Of course, at that time, even if you have a place in my heart, you still rank behind Po. As soon as this remark came out, Yu Longguan was in an uproar and sounded with disdain and outrage. The only one who did not say a word was Long Xingyu, whose eyes suddenly became ferocious, looking at the distant God of Devils with his fists clenched subconsciously, as if he were ready to rush out and fight desperately at any time. "Are you talking in your dream? You are the darkness and I am the light." Long Hao-chen's heart was also very confused. The God of Devils unexpectedly said to let him inherit his throne. This is nonsense, isn't it? However, thinking of the scene when the God of Devils was trying to killing him in the Star Devil Tower, Long Hao-chen seemed to feel something wrong. With the identity and status of the God of Devils, he would never shoot at random. The God of Devils smiled calmly. "What is light and darkness? When the light burns out, it is darkness. You scrapped Po. I really don't have a suitable heir now. If you are willing to give up everything in the human race and join our family, then you will be the first in line to the throne. If you are willing to hand over the goddess of nature, then I can even directly pass on the throne to you and order the cessation of all acts of war against mankind. With the power of my anti-heavenly dragon's pillar, it's not difficult to transform you from light to darkness." The shock spread all over Yu Longguan. Who would have thought that the God of Devils unexpectedly said such a thing after arriving at Yu Longguan? He was unexpectedly recruiting Long Hao-chen. Moreover, the persuasion was even more shocking. Long Hao-chen only needed to give a god to become the new generation of the God of Devils, and this holy war would stop completely. This was incredible. No one could have guessed that such an episode would occur when Long Hao-chen, president of the Human Temple Federation, met the Devil's clan's first devil god, the God of Devils, Feng Xiu. Long Hao-chen was also surprised and dumbfounded. He wondered if the God of Devils was crazy, and he was completely unable to understand the meaning of his words. "Let me become the God of Devils, turn light into darkness, and hand over Yi Xiaolei. Is he not afraid of me destroying the demon clan completely after I become the God of Devils?" However, by the calm look on his face, he doesn't seem to be talking casually. It's a tempting offer. Although Long Hao-chen had a great shock, he was still calm. He was the president of the Temple Federation and the highest ruler in the hearts of all human beings. In the face of the God of Devils, if he were to look confused, it would certainly lead to a great decline in the morale of the whole Yu Longguan. How could he then fight with the God of Devils? But doesn't your majesty think that such provocation is useless? In the future of the Holy Land of Devils, there will be only human beings, not devils. In that case, what is the need for God of Devils? Your majesty can fight if you want. There is no need to say such useless words. Long Hao-chen's counterattack was actually somewhat powerless, but coupled with his calm tone and his own strong aura, it was still very persuasive. Feng Xiu smiled, and he could naturally see that Long Hao-chen's heart was a little confused. "I'll give you 3 days to think. Give me an answer in 3 days. If you don't surrender, you'll die. Again, if I can kill you once, I can kill you again. In the interests of our people, everything is in vain." The dark golden light converged, and the figure of the god of devils diluted and disappeared directly in the air. The dark golden light emitted by the anti-heavenly dragon's pillar also slowly faded. 3 days? Long Houchen's face also showed a smile. It was a good opportunity to buy time, which was actually what he wanted most. Moreover, Long Houchen immediately understood the intention of the god of devils. Just as he was looking forward to the results of the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan, and the god of devils was also looking forward to the news from there. Once the two armies of the devils really invade the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan, then Yulongguan would also be in jeopardy. However, what Long Houchen did not understand was why the god of devils did not forcibly attack. If he and the strong ones he brought here with him went all out to attack, it would be a terrifying threat to Yulongguan. Long Houchen must open all his cards, but he didn't know how long he could hold them. According to Yi Xiaolei, even if he were to use all his power, it would still be difficult to defeat the god of devils. However, there was still a chance. When he returned to Yulongguan, Long Houchen immediately held a military meeting and speculated on the situation of the god of devils while waiting for the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan. The god of devils must have had a premonition that there was enough power in our Yulongguan to threaten him, so he stood still for the time being. He wants to wait for us to have an internal conflict first, Long Houchen said quietly. Long Qianyin nodded. I think so, but the reason he gave you is really odd. I can't believe he wanted you to be the god of devils. I don't know if there's something wrong with his mind. As soon as this remark came out, everyone presented there immediately showed a friendly smile. Long Houchen said, in any case, these 3 days are also very precious to us. If we calculate the time, the war between the Southeast Fortress and Wan Shoguan will begin within a day. The balance of victory and defeat on our side has a lot to do with the war there. I hope everything goes well. Yang Haohan said, Yulongguan is ready, and it is not so easy for the god of devils to attack and break through. Long Houchen smiled and said, this holy war has just begun, and we'll observe the movements of the devil's clan for 24 hours. Although the god of devils gave us 3 days, we must not be careless. One by one, the arrangements were quickly made. Long Houchen did not notice his father Long Xingyu's facial expression, who sat at the back position, being a little worried. It was like he was thinking about something. The god of devils camped 50 miles outside Yulongguan, and after finishing his conversation with Long Houchen, he even ordered all the devil god's pillars to reign in their aura. For those whose eyesight was not particularly good, it was difficult to see their camp 50 miles away from Yulongguan. The god of devils was now in a good mood. Although Po had been badly hurt, he thought that Hao Yu was really dead by his conversation with Long Houchen today. His worries disappeared, so he had regained his former wise appearance. He instructed the whole army to be on the alert, meanwhile to rest in place. He ordered Agares to contact Sami Jina, the undead devil god on the other side, and Marbus, the hell devil god, and report it as soon as there was any news. No one knew what the god of devils was really thinking now, and his wishful thinking couldn't be guessed easily even by the people closest to him. Leaning on the slumber, the god of devils Feng Xiao narrowed her eyes slightly, as if he was thinking about something. Leng Xiao? He suddenly uttered his daughter's name and then gently shook his head. Although Po is headstrong, overall vision is still good in normal times, and he is willing to bear hardships, and his talent inherits the fine blood of the royal family. Leng Xiao's pedigree is not as pure as Po's, and her mother's pedigree is not pure enough. Moreover, this girl is not brave and resourceful enough to accomplish great things. What should I do? As he spoke, the god of devils sat up slowly, and Long Houchen, who confronted him 50 miles apart today, unconsciously appeared on his mind. A mysterious smile appeared in the depths of the god of devils' eyes. What an interesting person, that Long Houchen. With the help of the power of the imperial weapon, his practice level should be close to level 9 of rank 8, and if there are any hidden means, he should be able to reach more than level 9 of rank 8. This year he is not yet 30 years old, and Po is much inferior to him in all respects. However, his bloodline is not pure enough, even worse than that of Leng Xiao. However, his other bloodline is pure. If in the end he is willing to surrender and let me help him change his lineage and attributes, the Devil's clan will surely be more prosperous in the future millennium than it is now. He is also the only one who can surpass me in the future. He already has the position of God that I need most. Very well, very well. Austin and Griffin are gone. Who better suits my successor than him? In this world, there is nothing I want to do that I can't do. So, what if he is the federal president? When the whole Temple Federation is about to be overthrown and their land will be invaded by our army, he will be held back here doing nothing and watch his people slaughtered by us. He will naturally have no choice. Talking to himself until now, the god of devils stood up directly. His eyes twinkled, and a confidence full of pride was released from his eyes. Boy, I will play this game with you, as I've said at the beginning. I will give you the honor. On the occasion of the battle of wits between Long Houchen and the god of devils at Ulongguan, the war at the other side in the south was about to begin. Both Samijina, the undead devil god, and Marbus, the hell devil god, were under the strict orders of the god of devils. The god of devils' request for them was simple. They had to invade the Temple Federation as quickly as possible at all costs to carry out a full-scale plunder. Yes, they only had to plunder, not to kill. For human beings, the Devil's Clan was a thorn that stuck deep down to their flesh, and they wanted to get rid of them quickly. However, for the Devil's Clan, every human being was an extremely important resource. With good use, a human being's all-out work could support 1 or 2 devils. And although the devils did not like the weakness of ordinary human beings, they had to admit the creativity and ingenuity of human beings. All human-made utensils were very popular among devils. Therefore, even if there was such a bloodthirsty existence from the undead devil god and the hell devil god, when they were really faced with a group of humans who dare not resist, their choice must be the same, which was taking these humans back to the Devil's Clan instead of killing them. Since inheriting the throne of the devil god, Samijina had never accepted such an important order from the god of devils, and he knew from the attitude of the god of devils that if he could not complete this task, he might be the next to face the same fate as the star demon god Vashak, and for him, there was no possibility of resurrection. From another point of view, Samijina also believed that there was no possibility of failure. At the same time, this was also a major opportunity for him. It was such a great chance to get fortune that if he did not take something from this task, he wouldn't be called undead devil god. He would naturally hand in what he plundered, but it was normal to deduct some of it himself, and even the god of devils would not take it seriously. What was lacking the most in the development of the Devil's Clan? It was resources. With these resources, the Devil's Clan would certainly make great progress. With the advantages of quantity and strength, as long as it could surpass the Moon Devil Clan and the Star Devil Clan in an all-round way, his ranking would certainly rise in the future. As Samijina said to Marbus and Warlifer, the god of devils would deal with Moon Devil God and Star Devil God in order to have Po inherit the throne in the future. It might even change the members of these two races. And at that time, it would be the moment when he rose. His practice level was far from the Moon Devil God and the Star Devil God, but it also meant that he would not affect Po's future control of the devils. At that time, he would be the most important subordinate of the new god of devils. It was for all these reasons that this battle meant so much to Samijina, and he would do his best with all the elite devils that went out collectively. Together with the elites of other ethnic groups, they went straight to the southeast fortress at the fastest speed. Millions of elite soldiers of the Devil's Clan were divided into 2 groups, and the goal of his commander was directed at the nearest southeast fortress. On the other hand, Marbus and Warlifer led another 500,000 elite to attack the Wan Shoguan. Since Wan Shoguan was relatively difficult to attack, the number of devils concentrated there was slightly bigger. However, this did not affect Samijina's confidence. He had made up his mind that, with the advantage of distance, he would rush into the interior of the Temple Federation before Marbus and Warlifer. In this way, not only would he have a better chance to plunder, but it would be the first great achievement for his 4th Devil's Pillar. Marching all the way, finally the southeast fortress appeared to their sight. Far away, there was a huge city in front of them. Samijina's eyes shone ferociously and he shouted, "Pass down my order, and the whole army will rest and recuperate an hour later. Launch a full-scale offensive after that." After hearing his command, the 4 devils could not help but be slightly surprised. They marched all the way down with a ridiculously fast speed. Even if the devils were very strong, they could not bear it. Was Samijina too much in a hurry to attack the city that would not give his subordinates enough time to rest? And this was bound to lead to a substantial increase in losses. "Patriarch, don't you want the subordinates to have a little more rest?" the number 1 devil said tentatively. Samijina glanced at him coldly and said, "Rest? Are you all tired?" "No, no," the devils quickly replied in horror as if they were Samijina in front of the god of devils. "I mean, the army must be very tired from marching all the way here. If you want to attack now, I'm afraid there will be a great loss." Samijina said coldly, "Even so, they are not my people. I have nothing to worry about. Even if you can't guess my tactics, then humans obviously cannot either. By attacking them by surprise, we will be able to break through the southeast fortress in the shortest possible time, and then we will aim at the holy city. I can tell you that if we fall behind Marbus and Wallifer, we will not only be humiliated, but I am afraid they will take all the good things from us. Pass my order. After breaking into the fortress, plunder is carried out at will, and all the plundered goods will belong to themselves. Can you see what we're going to do now? The four devils looked at each other with a look of joy on their faces, and of course they believed in Samigina's words. The great loss would not be the people of their devil army, who only accounted for 1/5 of these 500,000 soldiers. Let other races be killed, but it must be their devils who accomplished this great task. What's more, this time they were all elite devils, which was not like the small fuss from the previous holy war. And the southeast fortress had never been the strongest of mankind. The four devils immediately went down to make arrangements. With Samigina as the manager, this dared not express his dissatisfaction even if the devils who accompanied him were dissatisfied. That was because he was one of the 5 pillars of the devil's clan. The commander of the army, Samigina, the undead devil god, appeared, and soon the southeast fortress naturally found out. Chiao Yonghao commanded the high level of soldiers' temple and the generals of the army of the 6 temples to gather at the top of the southeast fortress and looked out into the distance. He nodded gently, and Chiao Yonghao, who shook his fist vigorously. Here they come. The information is absolutely right. Samigina, the undead devil god, this time, you will know the strength of my southeast fortress. In a war, information always comes first, and accurate information could completely cause the outcome of a war. Chiao Yonghao got not only the exact time of the enemy's arrival, but also detailed information on the number and ranking of devils in the army of devils, as well as the proportion of armies of various races. And this information naturally came from Yu Yi's organization. As early as 3 days ago, in order to deal with the devil army of the undead devil god Samigina, the southeast fortress carried out comprehensive preparations. Samigina, of course, did not know that the situation of his army information had already been revealed, and one trap after another was waiting for him to jump into it. The time of an hour would soon be up. For the army of devils who had come from afar, an hour was not enough for them to fully recover. The best they could do during that time was to eat something and have a short rest. Even among the devils, military orders could not be disobeyed. And the rule of the devil's clan was even harsher, and there was only one end for soldiers who disobey orders. That was death. Therefore, even though there were many complaints from the underlings under the command of Samigina, the undead devil god, the devil army was still assembled. Samigina looked at the southeast fortress in the distance, waved his right hand forward and said, "Attack." The first one to rush into the southeast fortress will be rewarded with 100 human slaves. For the devil's clan, the best way to measure wealth was to resources, and human slaves had always been the most precious resources and wealth among the devil aristocracy. The same rule applied in even devil gods. Other devils, who were dissatisfied with Samigina's arrangement before, immediately thought of the rich resources and wealth in the human world after hearing his words. For a time, the devil generals forcibly suppressed their physical and mental tiredness, and the commander-in-chief went straight to the southeast fortress. It was certainly impossible for Samigina to throw 500,000 troops into attacking the city at once. However, he had also been in command for many years, and even if other races were used as cannon fodder, this intention would never be too obvious. The first wave was 50,000 devils. The southeast fortress front wall was not too wide, therefore, 50,000 devils was the largest number that could be accommodated on the battlefield. In front of the race were the wild devil race and the bird devil race. Neither of these races was protected by devil gods. Therefore, naturally, not many people cared about their life or death. But there was no doubt that both races were quite effective. This time, the elite army of the devil had no weak ones at all. There was no cannon fodder army like double knife devils. Magic Eye Wizard race went along with the wild devil race and the bird devil race. These races together, the number was exactly about 50,000. They attacked from both the sky and land and went straight to the southeast fortress. If one looked down from high above, one could see that the army of devils pounced on the southeast fortress like a mass of locusts. Chiao Yonghao looked coldly at the army in the distance and raised his right hand. "Here we go." The low sound of magic casting quietly sounded at the top of the southeast fortress, and the rich elements fluctuated. Whether it was a wizard's, priest or summoners, each was assigned with at least 2 magic crystals. After determining that this holy war with the devils was the most critical war of the Temple Federation, and even the best chance to defeat the devils for good, the Temple Union spared no expense to use all the resources at its disposal. The Holy League auction ground donated almost all the stored equipment and magic crystals, and they only asked the Temple Union for a signed document acknowledging their debts in return. The Demon Hunter Trade Center also distributed all the stored equipment to the hunters with detailed registrations. Whether they could continue to have the equipment they had acquired after the war depended on their performance in this war. The preparation and strength of the Temple Federation were far beyond the cognitive scope of the Devils, so Samijina suffered a great loss when he just launched the first wave of attacks. The Wild Devil race ran so fast that they could even be compared with the Bird Devil race in the air at a short distance. The Magic Eye Wizards were much slower than the other two races. As a result, as soon as the three races launched a full-scale offensive, the Magic Eye Wizards were somewhat out of touch with the first two races. It was not that the Wild Devil race and Bird Devil race were greedy for merit, but it was just the way they fight. Especially the Wild Devil race, once they entered the fighting state, they would completely fall into a wild state and no one could stop them. Going to the front was naturally a good hand, but when it came to working with other races, they were not very good at it. Otherwise, with the combat effectiveness of these Wild Devils, Samijina, the undead devil god, would not let them serve as cannon fodder first. The number of the Wild Devil race was the largest among the three races, with more than 25,000 devils. At first sight, they had already rushed within 10 miles of the southeast fortress. At this time, under the southeast fortress city, hexagonal stars began to light up one after another, and the gorgeous light immediately shone dazzling under the city wall. Due to the different properties, the walls of the southeast fortress became colorful for a moment. Those were the summoning hexagrams. Although there were different sizes, some had a light gate, and some were just a very small hexagram. The strength of its summoned warcraft was even more uneven. However, it was more than enough. All the summoners assigned to the Assassin Temple were sent to the southeast fortress, and with summoners that were already there were a total of as many as 3,000 summoners in the fortress. However, most of their practice levels were weak. The role of summoners on the battlefield was absolutely enormous because a large part of the warcraft they summoned were elemental bodies which were not afraid of casualties at all. Even if the warcraft summoned from other planes were to die, it won't have much impact on them in general. As long as it was not their own contract of warcraft that died, it would not affect their practice. Thousands of hexagonal stars appeared in the first round, and then thousands of warcraft appeared under the southeast fortress city. These warcraft both flew in the sky and ran underground, with strength ranging from level 2 or level 3 to level 7 or level 8. Some of the strongest warcraft even surpassed level 9. Compared with the regular army of devils, these thousands of warcraft looked a little shabby. However, they were fierce and were not scared of death, and most of them could cast magic spells. With the attack of the Wild Devil race, thousands of warcraft did not hesitate to welcome them and launched crazy offensives. Wan Shoguan was one of the two most difficult among the Temple Federation to break because of the great role of the summoners on the battlefield. Although the attack power of the Wild Devil race was strong, the general Wild Devil race was only in level 3 or 4. And the mighty part of the devils was only in their body, so they were not good with magic. Far away, the army of devils had not yet touched these warcraft, and half of the thousands of warcraft had already casted their magic. Warcraft had a wide variety of magic, and the lethality of their magic was also great. For a moment, the colored light appeared in the army of devils like fireworks. At least hundreds of devils had been killed solely by magic attacks, which also slowed down their attack speed. The warcraft's natural magic might not be particularly powerful, but the attack speed was even faster than that of the average human wizards. Therefore, by the time the devils rushed forward, these warcraft would have already completed 3 rounds of magic attacks and at least killed more than 2,000 devils. Samijina, who watched the game from a distance, looked a little distorted. He had a faint premonition that humans seemed to be ready for their sudden arrival. Since when are there so many summoners at the southeast fortress? There were also generous amounts of summoners that came from the Temple of Souls. The first wave of warcraft and devils clashed together and were soon wiped out. After all, their number was too small compared with the army of devils. All of the 3 races of the Devil's army fought very wildly. Only with thousands of warcraft, how could they completely stop the progress? However, many devils from the Wild Devil race that marched forwards first were killed by the warcraft. However, while the first wave of warcraft was torn to pieces by the devils, the second wave of summoned warcraft reappeared. It was also more than thousands of warcraft, but this time the quality of warcraft was even better than the last batch. Only a large number of magic released could be seen, which then rushed in front of the Wild Devil race and pushed them back. The number of casualties of devils was also on the rise. Up to this time, the Magic Eye Wizard race behind had not fully caught up with the other two races yet. The second wave was followed by the third wave. 3 waves of Warcraft attacked, and the Devil's offensive had been completely resisted. Their initial morale was contained, and it was not easy for them to deal with these Warcraft at a ratio of 1 against 30. At the same time as the battle on the ground began, the Bird Devil race in the sky had arrived. The individual strength of the Bird Devil race was even higher than that of the Wild Devil race, and the total number of the Bird Devil race was as much as 10,000. If fought using Air Force, the Devils had always had the upper hand. The Bird Devil race flew at the front were several Golden Bird Devils, followed by a group of Big Bird Devils, and then lastly the ordinary Bird Devils. They were like a large dark cloud, covering towards the head of the city entirely. They were greeted by magical magic. In order to deal with the approaching Devils, the Wizards of the Southeast Fortress had never made a move until now and were waiting for the arrival of the Devil's Air Force. The Bird Devils were good at lightning attacks, but only the bigger Devils could release lightning out of their body and attack from a long distance. However, the magic of human wizards was much farther in range than their attacks. The Magic Temple was worthy of being the second most powerful among the 6 temples. When Li Zhengxi assigned wizards, he sent wizards with a single attribute to the other 5 temples. The 1,500 wizards assigned to the Warrior Temple all possessed the fire element. The main force was the army of fire wizards that Lin Xin once commanded. At the same time, there were 500 earth wizards sent by Chu Mogwan. At present, the Southeast Fortress had not only 3,000 summoners, but also had as many as 2,000 wizards. In terms of long-range attacks, no one else could compare. And obviously, it was the 1,500 fire wizards who launched the first wave of magic attacks. They did not attack at the same time, but instead, they launched 3 waves of attacks in units of 500 men, and the magic they used was the same, the bursting fireball. The most common bursting fireball was the 3rd-level magic, and the wizards who could use this must be at least level 3 or above, otherwise they would not be effective at all on the battlefield. When a mass of red fire rose into the sky and flew straight to the army of Devils, the Devils were already a little scared and they even thought they were in the wrong place. Is this still the Southeast Fortress? This is not Jiolingguan, is it? But no matter how they felt at the moment, the burst fireball would not disappear with their will. Then a burning cloud appeared in the sky. It was because there were not so many wizards in the Southeast Fortress, and the marching army of Devil was very tired. Additionally, the commander-in-chief of the Bird Devil race lined up the ranks of the army a little bit densely. As a result, the original dark cloud turned into a burning cloud. 1,500 burst fireballs fell on the army of Devils in 3 waves. The Devils below were already miserable, but they were still much luckier than the burning cloud in the air. When a wizard launched a group attack, it would definitely cause a disaster on the battlefield. The Devil's Air Force came and retreated quickly. After the fireworks in mid-air, 10,000 Bird Devils escaped quickly and there were only less than 6,000 remaining. A total of 4,000 Bird Devils were destroyed under that burst of fireball. However, the Bird Devils did not attack at all. As the fireball burst below, they also desperately threw a lightning spear at the head of the Southeast Fortress city. At least 5,000 lightning spears landed on the Southeastern Fortress which they targeted at the wizards and the summoners. If they could make a heavy blow to the wizards and the summoners, then their previous loss would be worth it. Unfortunately, this was still a Southeast Fortress, not the Jiolingguan. Soldier Temple was never lacking in shield soldiers. The relationship between the Warrior Temple and the Magic Temple had always been very close, and in the past, the Magic Temple was able to support 300 to 500 wizards to the Warrior Temple at most. Not to mention summoner from the Temple of Souls, not one was sent at all. Chen Hongyu was notoriously stingy. But now the Warrior Temple could be said to change shotgun for cannons. The total number of summoners, wizards and priests was as high as 8,000. They were all the most precious things in Qiu Yonghao's heart. As soon as these 3 magical arms arrived at the Southeast Fortress, Qiu Yonghao immediately ordered that they fight with his side-by-side method. Each wizard was equipped with a 5th-level warrior guard. Though, the wizard must be at least level 5. The higher level the wizard, the more equipped he would be to get with at least the same level of shield warriors. Qiu Yonghao's orders to these shield soldiers were very simple: treat the magicians around one as one's own wives and protect them at all costs. 8,000 wizards, what was that for on the battlefield? This was why Qiu Yonghaoming knew that Sami Jina, the undead devil god, was coming with an elite army of 500,000 devils, but he still looked like he was rubbing his hands and expecting them to come. When did the Warrior Temple have such confidence? His side-by-side fighting method had always been loved by the wizards, and it also let the wizards quickly integrate into the big family of the Southeast Fortress. They blended in with the soldiers. On the battlefield, the wizards were the sharpest spears, and the soldiers around them were their most solid shields. As they watched the devil's lightning spears being thrown down, the heavy shields immediately defended the entire Southeast Fortress like a tortoise shell. The wizards all hid behind them and were completely obscured by the tower shield that they did not even see the appearance of a lightning spear. The spears then bounced off, and moreover, it bounced directly into the city. One feature of the bird devil's lightning spear was that it had 4 small fixed wings in the middle back position, so that it could maintain a forward and downward position during the throwing process without falling horizontally. And now it was these 4 small wings that had become a nightmare for devils. The lightning spears that were bounced off by the shield warriors naturally could not identify friends or foes, and the devils already suffered heavy losses from wiping out all 3 waves of warcraft. They were then greeted again by thousands of lightning spears falling from the sky simultaneously. These were way too sudden of an attack. The wild devils were in a state of madness at this time, and if they found out that the lightning spears were falling from the air towards them in time, they would still have some time to avoid the attacks. Unfortunately, they did not find out, as they didn't concentrate on the situation enough. Out of the 5,000 lightning spears, at least 2/3 were bounced off the head of the city, and at least 1,000 devils were killed or injured under these lightning spears. How dreadful! However, after all, wild devils were wild devils. After they had been hit several times, and their loss had been more than 4,000, they still attacked the Southeast Fortress fearlessly. When they got to the bottom of the city, they quickly climbed up the city wall with sharp thorns from their arms. Although the walls of the Southeast Fortress were hard enough, with a little help from the spike, the wild devils could climb up higher easily. Looking at it, the wall as high as 100 meters had been densely crawled with the wild devils. And the Magic Eye Wizards in the rear finally arrived at this time. The number of Magic Eye Wizards was more than 13,000. There were many strong devils among them. Although they were not as fast as the wild devils, they were not that much slower. After all, they all had 3 legs. However, Magic Eye Wizards were not as brainless as the wild devils. They were shrewd. The reason why they did not arrive at the battlefield until now was to let the wild devils attack first, and when they entangle the human defenders on the top of the city, it would be safer for the Magic Eye Wizards. Their wishful thinking was indeed excellent. Therefore, it was only at this time that they arrived under the city. The head of a powerful magician with 12 magic eyes on his head let out a scream. All of a sudden, all the magicians quickly spread out their formation, and the magic eyes above their heads were all aimed at the location of Southeast Fortress walls. Their magic eyes could only fire straight rays and attack from under the city to the top of the city, and the effect would not be very good. However, the commander of the magician was very smart. His purpose was simple: to attack the city wall directly. With the attack of more than 13,000 Magic Eye Wizards, even if the wall of the Southeast Fortress was up to 100 meters thick, it would only take a few concentrated attacks to open up the gap. And once the humans lose the barrier of the city wall, it would be a lot harder for the Southeast Fortress to resist the 500,000 armies of devils. His move was not vicious. Moreover, as soon as he came up, the 10 magic eyes on the top of the wizard's head were the first to spray out, leaving a scorched black mark up to 1 meter deep on the city wall, which was undoubtedly the target he assigned to other wizards to attack. If these wizards were really allowed to attack many times in a row, it would be a big blow to the Southeast Fortress. At this time, the wild devils had already begun to climb to the head of the city, and the bird devils in the air had also learned to spread out quickly, and were looking for opportunities. How could the Southeast Fortress stop these Magic Eye Wizards? Of course, there was still a way. It was because the Southeast Fortress was no longer the battlefield of just the warrior temple itself, but the battlefield of the Temple Federation. A mournful whistle suddenly sounded outside the city, and before the Magic Eye Wizards understood what was going on, they saw a large number of Magic Eye Wizards fell down like wheat. One after another, the figures were drilled out from under the ground, killing these Magic Eye Wizards crazily at close range. Assassin. It was the assassins' doing. The total number of assassins ambushed outside the city was more than 10,000. They had been waiting patiently, giving way to the devils, and the target was these Magic Eye Wizards who mainly attacked using magic. The Magic Eye Wizard race was tall and they all had 3 legs. However, they were truly magical armies. Melee was what they were least good at. They never imagined that the threat did not appear directly from the Southeast Fortress, but at their feet, like the devil's own stalker, launching a deadly attack on them. Magic Eye Wizards were definitely smart, but if they were following the Wild Devils, at this time, the Wild Devils could still support them. However, they were completely out of touch with the Wild Devils now, and there was still a considerable distance between the location of the attack and the city wall. The Wild Devils, on the other hand, were even more committed to moving forward and were not aware of the crisis on their side at all. 10,000 assassins. What kind of concept was that? More than 13,000 Magic Eye Wizards were wiped out by the assassins almost completely in less than 3 minutes. It was totally dreadful for the army of wizards to face assassins at a close range. It was like an assassin with a dagger standing close behind a wizard. Sami Jina, the undead devil god who watched the battle from afar, was stunned at this time. He never thought that this would happen with his 50,000 troops. Human beings clearly had a premeditated arrangement. The assassins were obviously hidden there long ago, otherwise how could they be hidden from them? Only then did Sami Jina realize that the southeast fortress knew they were coming and was already well prepared. From his view, the southeast fortress of the warrior temple, which could be broken in less than 3 waves of all-out attacks, had become so difficult to deal with. Moreover, what made him feel the crisis most was the appearance and total number of summoners, wizards, and assassins. Aren't the 6 temples of mankind fighting on their own? Why are there so many strong men of other temples in the southeast fortress? At the same time as the assassins launched, the wild devils that attacked the city wall were also destroyed. It was true that some devils rushed to the head of the southeast fortress, but it was the knights and warriors who waited for them. With this number alone, how could they pose a threat to the southeast fortress? Even to consume their energy would take more time and a bigger number of armies. At this time, thorns grew on the walls of the southeast fortress. The earth thorns protruded from the city wall without warning, and the wild devils almost covered the walls of the southeast fortress at this time. On such a wide and high wall, at least 3,000 wild devils were climbing at the same time. And in the next moment, all the 3,000 wild devils were nailed to death on the city wall. 500 wizards had endured it until now, and they finally made a move. When the wild devil corpses on the city wall fell madly and the army of devils was in chaos, 10,000 assassins who had just ambushed the Magic Eye Wizards issued attacks from behind. Along with them came burst fireballs falling from the sky. 25,000 wild devils got burned to death under the walls of the southeast fortress. Even Sami Jina in the distance couldn't save them in time. A stream of golden light continued to fall from the head of the city, shining on the injured assassins. With the care of the priests, the combat effectiveness of the assassins had been improved drastically. Their individual strength was already above the wild devils, and the wild devils were already in chaos. With the support of fire wizards and priests above, there should not be any further damage to the assassins. The bird devils in the air were not fools, they dared not go near the southeast fortress again, which would only make them targets for the wizards on the top of the city. The remaining less than 6,000 bird devils immediately retreated in panic. Only the corpses were left outside the city. Cheers suddenly burst out from the southeast fortress like a tsunami from Chiu Yonghao and even the most ordinary soldiers, as their mood and morale had been completely ignited. Human beings had fought against the devils for so many years, and they had never been so proud as they were now. If it was the original strength of the southeast fortress, the 50,000 devils would be sure to break through. However, it was impossible to deal with this open ground attack completely unscathed. The fighting capacity of wild devils and the bird devils were quite good, not to mention the cooperation of a large number of the Magic Eye Wizards. They could all be regarded as the elites of the Devil's clan. However, this time it was different. With the cooperation of teams from the 6 professions, even the priests did not act much, and the battle was now over. It was a complete victory for humankind. The wild devils and the Magic Eye Wizards were completely wiped out, and the Devil's clan lost nearly half of them. The loss was so great that even Sami Jina, who commanded 500,000 troops, was a little anxious. This was close to 1/10 of the total strength. Although it was not the real main force, it was also a very important part of their strength. This was the advantage of the combination of the 6 professions, and the effect of multi-class cooperation was much better than when each 6 temples fight alone. The advantages of the new federation appeared on the battlefield for the first time, which made the minds of the 6 professional strong men in the southeast fortress determined. Compared to the overall strength, they were not as good as the Devil's clan, but under the cooperation of the 6 professions, it was not easy for the Devil's clan to break through. And timely information made them fully prepared. Samijina's face was livid and his eyes glowed ferociously. 2-headed devils, vultures with bird devils, flame devils, wolf devils, and leopard devils go forth into the battle. Spore devils go and assist them. The invisible Earth race, hide yourself and dispatch a troop. I'd like to see how many traps they still have. This video will end here.